Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, guys. Thank you, Mr. Producer. And we are back. And I am joined by Kim Guche. Hey, Kim. So nice to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
So, Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and about the company that you run and that you founded, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So my company is Entrancing Inspirations, Transformation Coaching, and Hypnotherapy. And basically, I just help people change the way they think. So to empower themselves for whatever it is they want to achieve, goals that you want to achieve, that maybe if you have a goal that you haven't been able to get to yet, kind of just finding out what is getting in the way and clearing that out so that you can manifest the things that you want for a better life.
Yeah, Kim, one of the things that kind of just jumped out to me, and I would assume a lot of the audience, is when you told us that you kind of concentrate on the people that are feeling stuck, or the people that are like something's missing, because I think we've all felt that. Would that be like the most the majority of your clients kind of feel that way?
For me, yes, I would say like I tend not to get a lot of clients that want help with something specific, like stopping smoking or weight loss. I do get those clients, but I would say the majority of my clients are stuck is the word that I hear a lot of times, or just like lost that as well. Like life doesn't seem fun. Like people feeling like there should be something more,
Yes.
or I could be doing more, but why am I not motivated to do more, or why am I not getting to where I want to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thanks for putting it that way, explaining it that way, because that I believe, if I know anything about the audience, I mean, somebody's in their car right now, I'm like, yes, that's me. That's how I feel. It's just I should be doing something else. It just something isn't making me as content and happy as I could be. And hypnotherapy is the first, or do we start with some transformational coaching, or is it all in the same thing? Tell me about the process.
Right. Good question. It's a combination of both. So if you are looking to change something about your life, like I just want to go back to something you said a few weeks ago. I thought it was great the way you worded it. Like I can't remember what I said, but how you rephrased it was, people feeling like they're just running out the clock. Like, and that is so perfect. Like, because, I do think you get stuck in a thought pattern or a mindset pattern, and you don't know anything different. Like you're inside your own problem and you don't know that there's maybe something else. So it's kind of like just get up and do the same thing day in, day out, and kind of like running out the clock,
Yeah.
like not knowing that you don't have to feel like that, like you can feel better and different.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you were calling me about how you get from here to there, it would be a combination of both. So that like the coaching that I do is really like a lot of reframing and um, thinking of things putting a different spin on the way you're thinking. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, cognitive reframing, but then using the subconscious mind also to change the patterns, right? Change the loop. Like we're on like a robotic automatic loop
Yeah.
with our thoughts and and with our behaviors. And a lot of our life, most of our life is repetitive and like on a loop. So changing that, and the subconscious mind is the way to do that.
In the subconscious, like when you say we're on that loop, and I think it was Adam Duritz from the band Counting Crows. Do you remember that band? Counting
Yeah.
Crows. He said he's got a stupid revolver, no, a revolver of stupid choices. You know, and so if one of those stupid choices is in our subconscious and it's making us repeat ourselves, is is hypnotherapy, um, is it accurate if I say you're going to try and replace that with a positive thought, that bad choice, you're going to replace it with something good, or are you going to somehow just work on it, acknowledge it?
It's kind of like you can actually even remove it. So, if you think about how the subconscious mind works and what it does for the body, right? So think about um, the things that the subconscious is responsible for, the things that we do on autopilot and like our automatic functions, like immune system function. Like once you learn how to walk, you don't need to learn it again because the unconscious mind learns that and doesn't need, then it just becomes automatic.
Right.
And so the same way it does that, like those functions with the body, like you learn a motor pattern and you don't have to learn it again. It does the same kind of thing with thoughts,
Okay.
but you can change them, um, you know, in a whole bunch of different techniques that would take way too long to get into in the time we have here. But yeah, like thinking differently. So you just basically, it's so easy, it's just using your imagination to create something in your mind, a different outcome, or if there is one of those problematic thoughts, you can change the way it looks to you, right? We all have, the way we think about a certain one of our problems.
Yeah.
It feels a certain way to us. It has a certain look to it, or maybe certain sounds associated with it. We create it, and then the more you think about something a certain way, the more you ingrain it, like
Oh, yeah.
like the grooves in a record. You just make it deeper and deeper each time.
Good example.
So
Yeah.
you could easily, like, in your imagination, change the way that thought appears to you. Like maybe instead of it being vivid, like, and you see it in your dreams and you see it in your daydreams, even, make it appear black and white or cloudy, or like take the vividness out of it.
Hmm.
And it's really very quick and easy to do. Like just change the way it appears in the unconscious. You can't think of it the same way anymore after that because you've changed it.
That's so
Subconscious.
interesting. So that's what you'll help with the power of suggestion when you're under hypnosis, right? So you can help with that.
Correct. And a lot of that, what I'm just described, like one of those techniques is a neuro linguistic programming technique. It's not even technically you're not in a deep trance or anything.
Oh,
It's like it's like waking imagination. So I'm like talking to you and just having you take your thought the way you typically view it, and just change the color of it, change the sounds around it. Um, shrink it down, make it smaller, push it, instead of it being right here in your face, push it farther away. You
so
could do so
interesting.
many things. Yeah, and it's quick. It's like just only a couple minutes to do
So it's like
that.
an exercise that you're doing, and do you repeat
Right.
this exercise? Like say I was traumatized because in tenth grade I lost a chess match to my rival in the chess community. I don't know, something like that. But for some reason, it had it had a lot to do with how I view myself. For some reason, I don't know why. So now, if I picture it a different way, black and white, or a different opponent, or a different color. Um, Create that. Do I repeat that? Is it like a train? Is it like weightlifting? You do it a bunch of times, and but now you're changing it. Tell me about that.
So you could do that. I mean, that's a tool that you have that you could
Thank you. I
you
just got that. All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
So for sure you absolutely could do that. If you wanted to do repeatedly, like that's one of the things that I do with kids, like you know with if kids have a fear of something, or like fearing that they're not going to be good enough at whatever it is they want to do. Maybe their sport, or
Hmm.
um something in school, and they're worried about it, and that worry feels really big to them, or it feels like it's like looming over them. So a lot of times I'll have them see it a certain way, like make that thought into a character, right? Like, because kids are so good with their imagination.
Yeah.
So just asking them about it, like, what does that thought, if it was going to be a character or you could draw it, what would it look like to you? So they might come up with something like some kind of monster or like something they've seen on a cartoon. So instead of making it scary or ominous, do something silly with the monster, like put it in it, like just silly, put it in its underwear, or give it a certain color of hair, or change the voice so that it's not like a deep, scary voice. It's like,
Wow.
like a little, I don't know, like a happy character voice, or just something like view it different. So every time it comes in and it starts to bother you, realize, no, this, I'm in control of my thoughts. My thoughts aren't controlling me. I control my thoughts. So your imagination can works. A lot of times we let it scare us, but rather than that, you can use it to your advantage and change the thoughts to make them smaller or appear a different way. So
That's
that's a
really neat.
great, you can always use it. You can use it anytime.
So so with this situation with the child, you're kind of taking power away from what's so scary by putting it in a silly dress or whatever the child comes up with.
Exactly.
Cool.
Because we, we learn that when we're little, right? Like with the monsters under the
Yeah,
bed.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
think there's
right.
monsters in the closet, or you start to imagine those scary sounds, the wind or whatever outside, that it's something big or bad or scary. And then you just you let your imagination go from this thought to that
Yeah,
thought, and
right, right.
then it just takes on a life of its own.
Totally.
But rather than getting in on that loop, if you started imagining, that there was something really fun and exciting under the bed or in the closet, not a monster, but I don't know, all these birthday presents, or
Yeah.
like something that you would want, and when you're a child, um, you can start imagining great things, and then you get lost in that daydream, and then you're not, you're changing your state basically. So you're not in that, your heart pounding, your hands sweating, worry or fear state. Now you're in a daydream that you want to be in because it feels fun.
What a great technique.
It's so easy. And who doesn't want who doesn't want to be in a daydream of something that's fun and
Yeah.
exciting? And
Yeah.
kids are great at that. So that's why this kind of work, mindset coaching, is so easy to do with kids, because
Yeah.
naturally they spend a lot of time imagining
Mhm.
and daydreaming.
Yeah, because that's something that you are uh, doing a lot of these days, is this mindset coaching with kids and their families, right? Can you and by the way, I'm just rethinking that last example. I don't have kids, but if I did, that would be a go-to. When he gets scared, I mean that's really it seemed to me that would work every time.
Right. Reminding everybody that your imagination works both ways, right? So to use your imagination for the things that you want. Like that's really what I do with all my clients, is start, when we've talked about this every week, but instead of focusing on the things that you don't have, or the things you don't want, or the things that aren't going well, put your focus on the things that are, or on the things that on the outcome that you want. And so when you start forward thinking about, creating the vision that you want, or hey, if I achieve this, that's going to feel so great. I'm going to be, you know, in this different, I don't know, state of mind, or just starting to think about, when I get this goal, what's that going to feel like? And letting your imagination go into that, rather
Mhm.
than being upset or down or hopeless because you don't have it yet.
I
Um,
see.
it's just changing the way you think and where you put your thoughts, and how much energy you're putting in which direction.
I see. One thing I wanted to bring up, and it's part of it is very is very sad, but It's probably I'm bringing it up because of this weekend. This weekend is this thing called Out of the Darkness, and it's suicide awareness. So I'm going to go do this walk in the city, and one of the reasons that just one of them, there are so many, but one of them was my friend's a teacher and told me a story about a 12-year-old boy who hung himself. Right now, at 12 years old, you don't know what the rest of your life is going to be like. I mean, that's a decision that this kid made. Um, when you're working with a kid, I bring this up because for this question is when you're working with kids, and a lot of times they must say things that can be taken in a different. How do you know when a kid is like at risk, and then does your way to help that kid change, or does the process take a dramatic turn if you think that this kid might have some of those thoughts or ability?
Right. Well, I mean, I do have a lot of kids that I work with who are also in, in a therapy counseling
Uh-huh.
situation for, because they've had, or maybe not regularly, but have said things about, maybe I would be better off not being here.
Right.
So yeah, that's always very serious. And, I would always encourage like for them to work with a, mental health practitioner. So, and, maybe if they need medication or however that's to be handled medically. So I don't do any of that, but what I would work with them on is, like, again, when someone has those like strong feelings like of hopelessness, um I, I guess I would always wonder, like, what are you saying to yourself? What are the words that you're using in your head? Like, what's the story that you're telling yourself? And um and so always just getting the child, the young adult, the adult, whatever age, to realize that you control your thoughts, not the thoughts controlling you. And so, I like that technique I just told you about, but there's so many of them that you can use to change your state. So, kind of like being mindful when you notice yourself getting down like that. um, you have a toolbox, you have a bunch of things that you can do to change your thoughts and your state. You don't have to stay there.
Hmm.
I mean, now for some people, right, there's if there's a chemical imbalance, or everybody's situation is
Right.
different.
Right.
So uh depending on the severity of it or what else is going on.
Hmm.
But even so, you can still change your thoughts.
Right. Right.
You still have the power to change your thoughts. I mean, it's a choice what you put your focus on. I mean, you can focus on things that make you feel bad, or you can focus on things that make you feel better or great.
Understood. But I wanted to ask you in that situation, if you, if, okay, say the kid's working with a therapist and the parents are, involved with everything that you're doing, could hypnosis add a different vehicle of attack for a problem like this? In conjunction with, if you're working with the parents and you're working with a therapist, everybody's on board. Could a hypnotherapy work for a kid?
Oh, sure, absolutely. And if you think about why a person would get to that place, to get to that state, you know, um, who knows? Maybe things maybe it's something in the family structure. Maybe it's a trauma that they've had, that they can't escape. Always seeing it. Like, again, every situation is different, and so it's hard to make any blanket statements. But it's certainly finding out like what's recurring, what's happening repeatedly that is making a person feel that down or that way.
Hmm.
So if it is a trauma, like maybe something they saw that was terrifying, or maybe something that's happened to
Right.
them,
Right.
again, you can change the perception of that as well. Because if something bad happens to you, you can easily get caught in the story of, well, I must be really bad, or I must really be, um,
I deserved
unworthy,
it or something.
undeserving. Right. Yeah. I deserved it.
Right.
So, and if I deserved it, that must mean I'm really bad. And if I'm really bad, then why would anybody love me? And if nobody loves me, then why do I need to be here? And
Right.
you see how it
Yeah,
goes.
it just snowballs. Yeah, I see.
Right. And so when you're doing that in your own head and you're listening to you and your own thoughts and you just keep saying it and hitting yourself with it all day, all night, um, yeah, that's tough. I mean, we are the worst offenders of beating ourselves up.
Hmm. No doubt. Have you found with people that you work with trauma, is it do you have more success when the trauma is fresher or when it's been blocked out or happened 30 years ago or something, or does it even matter?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter. I mean, if somebody's still really, something could have happened years and years and years ago, and people are still reliving that, or it could have just happened, and they feel like it's like a nightmare that they can't wake up from. But it really doesn't matter. It can still be processed in the brain differently so that it's not uh,
So scary or
active, active.
active?
Yeah, like it being triggered constantly
I see.
um, and active.
Right. Okay. Right. This is a terrific. Those exercises are. I'll be thinking about that on the way home. That's really good. But
I
Kim,
got a million of them.
and I would love to hear more and more as we go. But here, but I want to get just a couple of questions. But before we get to the questions, because we're only going to have a couple a minute for a couple of them. But is there anything else that you wanted to say on this topic before we go to the questions?
Just that, I think that people maybe have when they hear the word hypnosis, hypnotherapy, and maybe have a misperception of what it is, what it does. A lot of people, if you don't know what it is, I hear this all the time that it's mind control. Um, that it's like that I, as the hypnotherapist, are taking over your thoughts or controlling your thoughts. It's not that at all. I'm teaching you how to control your thoughts. I'm teaching you how to change your thoughts. So what really I'm doing is guiding you to think differently. I'm not telling you what to think or controlling your thoughts. I'm just being your guide, your coach, to get you to use the tools to be a better problem solver, you have better emotional coping strategies, and change the way you talk to yourself and the way you think so that you can have a better outcome.
Nice. I'm glad you said that because there is kind of some people have this preconceived notion, which is total nonsense. It's it's not the person in the movies waving the thing and turning it into a chicken. I mean, I've heard the silliest stuff. I'm sure you've heard a lot of it too, which is all nonsense. So
Right. It's always the chicken.
always a chicken. I mean,
Always
I
the
wish I had a
chicken.
better example, but that's all. That's what I hear.
It is. It's what everybody says.
Right, right. Do we have time for one question? Okay. Mr. Producer's got some a question for the one and only Miss Kim Gucci.
We have Gabby in Louisville wants to know, can a change in mindset help a child who is struggling in school?
Absolutely. Yes. Depend. And, again, a lot of times kids in school, right? If if they feel like they're not good at something, I'm not good at math. I mean, like, and they say that, like you hear people, like you hear people say it all the time, like, I'm not good at math. Um, maybe, maybe they haven't had the right math teacher. Maybe they have, like there's so many things. Um, so yes, once you start that story and you believe that to be true, then you become, the self-fulfilling prophecy. So yeah, you could definitely change your belief about how you yourself as a learner, you yourself as a kid in that classroom. Yeah, all kinds of ways it can help.
Kim, what's a good exercise when those thoughts come up? Do you think of something that you're good at that you said before, or
That's a great one. Like a lot, because as I've said so many times, people are always focused on the things they're not good at,
totally?
and we always forget the things we are good at and the times that we succeeded. or the great things that happened. So I spend a lot of time getting people to remember times consciously and unconsciously when something really great happened, when you succeeded, when you were proud of yourself,
Yeah.
when you had so much fun, and bring up those times and bring them to the forefront rather than the cloudy, the gray and cloudy
Right. Good point.
thoughts.
Good point. Guys, I have been speaking with Kim Guche here on the Kim Guche Show. Kim, we're out of time, but let me give you the last word. And then once again, please tell us how to get a hold of you.
So you could get a hold of me at entrancinginspirations@gmail.com or www.entrancinginspirations.com. And my number is 585-708-9923. Can call or text.
All right. Kim Guche, thank you so much. And guys, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.